The floor is yours, Lou, to talk about our trip to Australia today.
Oh, great. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Hopefully everybody's doing well today.
Yes.
Yes.
Great. And
Yes.
I don't know if everybody saw the movie last night, but I thought that was
Yes.
exciting and appreciate the selection, Alex,
Yes,
and
I did.
feedback from everybody.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Great. All right, well, let's start what we usually do. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Just a moment. Okay. We'll start here at where we always do. So here we are, the Department of Aging and Community Living. Hopefully everybody sees this. And we're gonna walk over to Union Station where all these railroad tracks are, jump on the red line, and we are going to go to Dulles Airport, where virtually all international flights leave out of. So we're gonna take the Silver Line over to Dulles, way out there, it's Dulles. And now we're going to take off. So which direction do we head to go to Australia? Any guesses?
To the
South.
west. The west coast.
West Coast?
Yeah.
I think you're right. So I've been there a couple of times, and once I departed on the West Coast, and once I departed on the East Coast, and both times they connected through Los Angeles. So one time I went from Seattle to there, and the other time I went from Florida to there, and all the flights connected in LA. So back in the day, to go to Australia, you had to go from Los Angeles to Hawaii. That was the first link because there wasn't enough gas in the plane to go that far. And then you had to take another plane from Hawaii to Fiji. So back in the day, my first trip there was in 1985. You bought one ticket to Australia, and you got to be able to stop off in Hawaii for a couple days, which is what I did. Had a great time. Got a motorcycle, run all around the island, had a total blast. I was only 20 something, 25. And then I got to go to Fiji, had a fabulous time in Fiji, all for the same plane ticket because you has to stop at those places. And then finally you land in Sydney, Australia. So where is Sydney? It doesn't even show it. Virtually all flights land in Sydney. So let's see if we can zoom in there. Why would the largest city in Australia not show up on the map? That doesn't make sense. So here we are landing in Sydney, Australia. So let's learn a little bit about the history of Australia. Australia's got really a pretty unusual history as compared to many of the other places that we've been. But before I branch off to that, let me give everybody else an opportunity. Has anybody on the call been to Australia before? Maybe share some of your. I know Janelle had been to Truck Island last week. Any military folks heading out there? None of that stuff. Okay, so let me just get over there just a moment, and we're gonna fire up a little bit about the history of Australia.
My mom went to Australia.
Oh, she did.
Mhm.
What did she think of it?
I really don't know. She just sent a postcard. She's passed now, but her and her husband used to travel quite a bit, and she liked Australia. She liked Australia, but her favorite place is South Africa.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Mhm. But I
All
didn't
right.
hear very much about Australia, except she'd been there.
Well, I'm gonna play this video. Alex actually tracked down a couple of videos for me, which I really appreciate. Can everybody see this screen here, or do I have to change my sharing?
No, Lou, it's completely gray. I don't
I'll
know
change.
why it comes up. It came up during the movie yesterday where that you had that gray bar there, and it's been
Oh,
coming
you're
for
kidding.
each session. So Yeah, you see there's the gray bar down there in the middle at the top right. I don't know why that's coming up on your end.
Gray bar in the top right, up here.
No, it's gone now. At the bottom, it's now there. But
I see
I
it.
yeah, I'm not sure why it's there, but I guess we'll figure that out later on. But we can see the video. Thank you, Lou, for
Sounds
using.
good. All right, let's fire it up. Here we go, guys.
This episode is brought to you by Skillshare. The first 500 viewers who sign up using the link below get 2 months of Skillshare absolutely free. Aristotle, Ptolemy, and Macrobius believed that there was far too much land in the northern hemisphere, and that there must be some undiscovered continent balancing the globe somewhere in the south. Okay, so the logic was a little flawed, but during the Age of Discovery, the search was on for Terra Australis Incognito. Fast forward a few centuries to the East Indies. 3 Dutch sailors landed in Australia accidentally in the 1600s. The mythical southern continent had just been found. Australia was the last of the New World to be discovered, because let's be honest, nobody cares about Antarctica. Australia was of course already inhabited. Indigenous Australians, also known as, had a population of between 300 and 700,000 by modern estimates. Early contacts with these tribes were as often peaceful as they were violent. It is thought that these groups arrived in 2 stages. The first was from the Indian subcontinent via a land bridge that connected Australia to the island of New Guinea, bringing with them the Pama-Nyungan language family. The second wave was much later and may have been groups related to the Austronesians of Indonesia. Their culture and history was preserved through the oral tradition. The Dutch named the island New Holland after the county of Holland in the Netherlands, but it wasn't until the British landed on the east coast and named it New South Wales that Europeans began to settle. Landing in Port Jackson on the 26th of January 1788, hey, that's today, the so-called First Fleet arrived to found the colony of Sydney, with the intention of using the labour of prisoners to achieve wealth for Britain. However, contrary to Australia's convict founding myth, less than half of this First Fleet were actually convicts. In the 1800s, Australia was circumnavigated, mapped, and new colonies started springing up all over. Hobart, Newcastle, Launceston, Port Macquarie, Brisbane and Melbourne, with dozens of penal centres. Adelaide and Perth were founded as free settlement cities, but the latter was made into a penal colony after it failed to grow naturally. As the Europeans expanded, the frontier wars began with the Aboriginals, many of whom were hostile to the foreign invaders. Most famously, the Black War of Tasmania, which nearly wiped out the indigenous Tasmanians. But far more destructive to the Aboriginals was smallpox, which killed tens of thousands. Australia's growth would stagnate until the 1850s gold rush, which drew hundreds and thousands of settlers from all around the world in search for wealth, particularly in New South Wales and what would become Victoria. This would forever change Australia's character, with new free settlers overshadowing its convict past, bringing with them their ideas of European Enlightenment, the American self-determinism, and the Chinese hatred for the British. These gold diggers became discontent with the corrupt and badly run colonial elites and rose up in rebellion in the infamous Eureka Stockade. These settlers were beginning to feel a sense of nationalism, that perhaps Australia could be something different. The winds of change were on Terra Australis, and soon large-scale trade unions developed in Australia's largely working-class population from the ideas of orthodox Marxists. Trade unions still hold a significant influence over Australian politics today.
But let's not forget the rift that had been forming between Australia and Australians, the government and its people. Thousands of ex-convicts were being released each year, most of them turning to civil jobs, but a sizable minority turned to Australia's bushy frontier for freedom and profits. Policing was harsh, but order couldn't reach far enough. Outside of the cities, only personal gain and wealth could drive law enforcement. Money would change hands and lips were sealed. In this climate, an Australian icon was born, Ned Kelly. Famous for his tin hat Robin Hood thievery, infamous for his cop killing and town raids, and recognisable everywhere for that nifty bulletproof suit. For more on one of the most well-known cornerstones of Australian folklore, come to my channel, Feature History, and check out my video on Old Ned.
Okay, so besides bulletproof suits or whatever, most Aussie colonies were granted self-governing status and united to form the Commonwealth of Australia in 1901, a dominion of the British Crown. The new Australian government was very quick to open up a new dark chapter in Aboriginal history, the infamous Stolen Generation. Beginning in 1905, the government began rounding up half-castes, a term which is now highly offensive, and settled them into white families with the intention of breeding out their Aboriginal blood in a form of cultural genocide. Abuses of these children were also rampant, which is a rather depressing segue into the White Australia policy, a set of strict settlement acts which restricted immigration from anyone who wasn't British or Northern European up until about the Second World War. As a British colony, Australia would unilaterally declare war on Germany during the First World War, forming the Australia and New Zealand Army Corps, or ANZACs. The young nation was sent headfirst into war. Around 500,000 soldiers volunteered, or nearly 1/10 of the total population. The baptism of fire came during the Gallipoli campaign, when more than 8,000 men lost their lives in the failed invasion of Turkey, an event etched into the memory of the Australian zeitgeist. Although crippled from the Great Depression, Australia again took up arms in 1939 to support her mother nation in the Second World War, this time fighting in Europe, North Africa, the Pacific and South Asia. Prisoners of war in Malaya, Burma and Thailand were treated inhumanely by the Japanese, who also bombed Australia's northern coast about 100 times. Australia is still a very young nation, but it has emerged a very powerful force in the region, now a beacon of democracy, social progressivism and commerce, with its phenomenal urbanization consistently ranked among the world's most livable cities. Walking the line between left and right with generous social programs, universal suffrage, a welcoming immigration policy, and attractive business prospects. This is John. John wants to learn how to play the didgeridoo he bought from a garage sale, but the lessons are expensive, so John will probably give up. But wait, John, you can learn for free over at Skillshare. In just 17 minutes with Paul Carlos, you can take a beginner's course in the didgeridoo. Skillshare is an online learning platform where you can learn a new skill, with more than 20,000 courses in design, business, technology and more. John's friend Sally wants to learn how to animate a kangaroo, so why not this lesson on After Effects by Kurzgesagt? And the great part is it's all going to be absolutely free for 2 months for the first 500 viewers who sign up using the link below. John and Sally made the right choice. Join them in just minutes a day to learn a new skill. Support the show on Patreon to vote.
All right, folks. Well, any thoughts about the history of Australia? Anything of any thoughts
Yeah.
about what you saw? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and share.
That they didn't have smallpox.
You ready to go?
Yes, sir.
It's okay. It's in the fire.
They didn't have smallpox.
Yes, they didn't have
So it was sort of like America when the Europeans came here and wiped out so many of the indigenous people.
Yep.
Yes, they didn't have smallpox, and they enslaved the people and didn't give them a chance.
Yep. Any other thoughts? I was surprised by the restrictive immigration all the way up until World War II. I mean, that was a bit surprising. Any thoughts about that? Well, I'm going to try sharing a couple of pictures I've got. I'm not sure if this will work, and then I got a couple more videos. I'm going to show you some pictures in Melbourne, Australia. I may have to reshare here. Can anybody see this?
No, Lou, you have to
Not yet.
make sure you're alt tabbed. You have to make sure you're out of the previous thing that you were in.
Yeah, I'll share my alt tabs. Okay, so let's see if this will work. Here we go. And probably see everything now. So this is Melbourne, Australia, and I could blow it up a bit and you can see it a little better. You know, big city, just like cities over here. And then let me see if I can get through some more. Here's more pictures of Melbourne, Australia. They have this really cool river that goes through there. And when I was over there, I would go biking almost every morning. Biking it's really a sporty outdoor town which I liked a lot about Melbourne, Australia. Oh, there's the bike trail, no less. So you can see that bikes were all over the city, very outdoorsy, very all the hotels had free bikes for the people going over there. I was there for a conference on economic development, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But I do have to be honest with you that there is, I did sense quite a strong some acts of racism that I saw, even as a tourist I saw, which you normally wouldn't see. As well, it's actually in some places you do see it, and I did see it in Melbourne. It was expressed towards people from India. There's a lot of contentious behavior with the Indian population and the population of European descent, especially in Melbourne. Part of it is because of rivalry in cricket. Speaking of cricket, this is Australian football.
Right.
Went to an Australian football match, and it's somewhat similar to American football. It's like a cross between rugby and football. And I thought that was interesting. Here's a bit of a map. Here's Fiji, and I think I have some maps of Fiji. I mentioned, I'll briefly show some pictures. When I was there in 1985, we landed in Nadi and then went all around the main island here. Just had a glorious time. Have a look at that. Looks like a typical South Pacific kind of Polynesian environment. Although it's not officially part of Polynesia, but it looks awful similar. And
Lou, our guest is on.
oh, great! So that's a little bit about that. I'm gonna leave the pictures, and we're gonna go to Australia tourism in a moment. But I have a special guest calling in today from Arusha, Tanzania. She and I are developing a program in Arusha, and it turns out she heads up an organization about women's rights in an area where women are particularly oppressed through a longstanding tribal culture. So, Upendo, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Upendo, can you introduce yourself? And you're on the line with a number of people here from Washington, D.C., part of our senior iPad program.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I'm
Hi.
Upendo Raphael Tataiko. I work with an organization known as Pilot Light Development Organization. I do advocate for girls and women rights to acquire land, education. We do education for young girls and also adult literacy education, and also women economic empowerment with the indigenous Maasai women in Simanjiro, Longido and district, and Simanjiro, Longido and Kiteto district, with the more than 20 villages within this district in Tanzania. And I'm also 2022 Mandela Washington Fellow. I was placed in Kansas State University. We had a program there for over 6 weeks where we were being trained into leadership. So I've been considered as young African leader here. We were over 700 young African leaders who were selected. I'm glad to meet you all today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody have questions for Upendo based on the movie Girl Rising we saw yesterday?
It's the movie.
And yes, Anne, go ahead.
Yes. I was wondering, is your program dealing with education
Yes?
or just in life in general?
I cannot hear you.
Yes, what?
We can't hear you, Anne. Your
Your
internet
connection.
is bad.
Okay, I said, does your program deal with educating young ladies? Or does
You're
it deal
singing,
with
Ann.
more
Yeah, and I'm
than
sorry,
that?
we can't hear you, Ann. Upendo, can you share some of the major challenges that women face, please?
Some of the challenges that women face, especially with the Maasai community, they are not allowed to, as you know, in Maasai community, women are not allowed to own land. So they face problem of owning land as in inheritance. Also, they are not women in Maasai community, they are not allowed to go to school. That's the other challenge. And the other thing, the women are not in Maasai community, they are not allowed to do business. So what we are trying to do is to educate and empower them through business skills, advocate, and we educate in the community to allow girls to go to school. And also we have the program of adult literacy education, where we train elder women so that they can know how to read and write, so that they can be able to do their businesses. So the program we have, the challenge we have in Maasai community, especially for women, they're not allowed to go to school. We have early child marriage issues that we are trying to advocate and trying to tell the community to stop the culture.
Upendo, do they still do FGM out there in those communities?
Yes, they do. They still do the FGM, and now it has been the problem because they do it while the girls are very little, to 1 year old. So it's still an issue that we advocate for.
Okay, like, is it do most of the Maasai still do that, or is it just a few here and there?
Most of them they do. You find like within the 10 household families, maybe 6 or 7 they're still doing FGM.
Oh my gosh. And does everybody know what the FGM stands for? It's
Female
Yeah.
genital.
No, I don't. I don't
Mutil-
know.
Yeah.
Female genital mutilation.
Oh,
Mutilation.
okay.
Mhm.
great.
that right?
Well, thank you very much, Upendo. Do you have any pictures or anything you could share on your computer?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to try to see. I can share.
And Alexander, is she able to share permissions wise?
Question. How young are they forcing them to get married?
What?
How young are they forcing them to get married?
From 12, 10, 14, 15, those are the ages.
Wow, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Wow.
They usually end up losing those babies because of their size.
Yeah, because of their
They're not developed.
All this
yeah,
and
they
all
haven't
this stuff is
developed.
not developed. Yeah. Oh God.
Well,
Wow.
Upendo, we can see your screen now. Great.
You can see, so
Yep.
so this picture, this one is when we were doing land demarcation for women. These women, that's we were doing land demarcation for them. And here was this woman, he's a traditional healer, so we were grinding traditional medicine within this picture. And here we had a meeting with the elder. Here, one girl was taken to an older man, so we were doing a community talk with the families. This is the guy who was supposed to get married to that girl, and here is the mother of that girl, the father and me, while having a meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is the same community. Yeah, those are the few pictures that I could gather quickly.
You face a lot of opposition, don't you?
Yeah, we do a lot.
Yes. Wow.
Have you ever been threatened, Upendo, physically or anything? Do you feel safe when you advocate for this stuff?
Yeah, what we are trying to do before, we are trying to include the men who are traditional leaders. So if we educate them and they understand the project, they always give you a hand, and they always go sometimes to train other men. So they are helping a lot. But it's always difficult when you're doing yourself as a woman without the men.
How large is the tribe? It's a large tribe of people?
Yeah, it's a very large indigenous tribe in Tanzania.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But as you know, the indigenous, for example, now we have a problem where this tribe is in Ngorongoro, where they are being evicted. They're asked to go away. So we do face a lot of challenges
Yeah.
with the government.
Mm-hmm.
But you're saying the men are coming around and accepting?
Men, yes, some they do. Some men they do like to adapt the changes, especially when we talk about education, because they have seen the impact of the girls that they have gone to school and now they're coming back and help the community. Some are teachers, nurses within the community. So they're starting a little bit to adapt.
Very
Nice.
good.
And what about religion? What about
Yes.
how do you what religion are you under?
I can't hear you.
I was
What
thinking about
religion are they, Upendo?
Religion?
Yes, do
Uh-huh.
they practice a religion, the Maasai?
No, most of the Maasai, they don't practice religion. They do traditional prayers. They don't practice, they don't have specific religion, maybe like Christians, no. Yeah.
okay.
Well, Upendo, thank you very much. It's so wonderful of you to join. Upendo and I are working on a project. I'll be going to Tanzania in May with Upendo, and then hopefully we'll be going back again in November of next year. So
That's great.
yeah, so thank you, Upendo. Keep up the amazing work.
Yeah.
You have more
Keep up the
pictures. Maybe
amazing
we'd love
work.
to invite you on another call.
Let's all thank you, Pendo, for doing.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.
Thank you, Upendo.
Thank you. Wish you a great meeting.
Thank you, Apenda.
And blessings on you.
Wish
and
you
keep
the
your
best,
work up.
baby girl.
Thank you.
Yes.
You
Somebody said that too.
so much.
All right, folks, I'll go back to sharing. So we also
Yep. So 1 second, Lou. Go ahead and unmute Lou.
Okay.
Yep,
Can you all hear me?
Yeah, you're good. Go ahead.
Fantastic. I've got these Melbourne pictures. I got into some Fiji, but I think you got enough taste of that last week. Typical island there. Let's talk a little bit now about things to see in Australia, because there is an awful lot to see there.
Located between the Pacific and Indian Oceans, Australia is the world's largest island and its smallest continent. There's room to move in the land down under, and with so many sights to discover and enjoy, there's a great incentive to go on a walkabout adventure. Whether exploring the traditional lifestyle of the nation's Aboriginal people, relaxing on a sun-kissed beach, or reveling the night away in a city hotspot, Australia has something special to offer every visitor. Here's a look at the best places to visit in Australia. Number 10. Cairns. For its tropical climate, easygoing ambiance, and close proximity to the Great Barrier Reef, Cairns is one of Australia's most popular vacation destinations. Located on the northwest corner of Australia, Cairns is a provincial but stylish city with a population of around 150,000 people. Few coastal destinations feature more wildlife diversity and more opportunities for travel and adventures than pretty Cairns. Number 9. Adelaide. A laid-back city with a peaceful atmosphere, Adelaide's quiet streets are lined with bars, which make it a surprisingly fun place to go out in. Nicknamed the City of Churches, the lofty spires dotted around here and there add to the picturesque nature of Adelaide. And there are lots of nice parks and green spaces for visitors to enjoy. Surrounded by verdant land, which is perfect for cultivating vineyards, make sure to try some of the refreshing wines before you head off on your travels. Number 8. Tasmania. The island state of Tasmania may be isolated from the rest of the country, but it still remains one of the best places to visit in Australia. Almost half of its area is protected as the government looks to preserve the natural riches. With desolate wilderness and alpine plateaus interspersed with stunning white beaches, waterfalls, and forests, exploring its terrain is simply mesmerizing. Taking a boat trip along its craggy coast is equally rewarding, and you can even see dolphins, penguins, and seals along the way. Number 7. Perth. Located on Australia's southwestern coastline, Perth is the country's 4th largest city and is capital of Western Australia. Isolated from other major cities in Australia, Perth has developed its own unique character. A youthful place, Perth is nearly always bathed in sunshine, and its stunning beaches are perfect for kicking back and relaxing on. Away from the beach, there are lots of outdoor activities for you to enjoy. With a huge variety of bars, cafes, and restaurants, isolated Perth is the perfect getaway to the rest of the West. Number 6. Brisbane. A popular tourist destination, Brisbane is a lively, dynamic place that is bathed in beautiful sunshine year-round. Located in the Sunshine State, many visitors stop by on their way to the fantastic resorts and beaches that lie to its north and south. Set alongside the Brisbane River, the city's fantastic climate means that outdoor activities are very popular here. A fun and friendly city, Brisbane's vibrant music scene has made it one of the music capitals of the world, and there are lots of venues in town where you can enjoy a great show. Number 5. Kakadu National Park. Occupied by Aboriginal people for over 40,000 years, Kakadu National Park has over 5,000 ancient rock art sites, which are fascinating to visit. It is a place of immense cultural and natural significance. The park is huge and contains some stunning natural sights which make it well worth a visit. With diverse ecosystems contained within the park's boundaries, you can be hiking through deserted sandstone escarpments 1 minute and bathing in waterfalls and pools the next, before later on learning about some of the ancient rock paintings. Number 4. Melbourne. Second only to Sydney, Melbourne is a cool cosmopolitan city that is considered by many to be Australia's capital of culture. With lots of great art galleries, some fantastic museums, and a lively music scene, there is always something to see or do in the country's second largest city. Due to its high quality of life, citizens from around the world have flocked to the streets. Its multicultural population is reflected in the delicious cuisine on offer and the unique neighborhoods that make it such a fascinating place to explore. Number 3. Great Barrier Reef. The largest coral reef system on the face of the Earth, the Great Barrier Reef is simply colossal. Stretching for over 1,400 miles, it is remarkably visible from space, with 900 islands dotting this enormous ecosystem. Snorkeling and scuba diving are the best ways to experience the joys of the rich underwater world, while boat trips, kayaking, and even helicopter rides offer another view of the reef's gargantuan proportions. Gently sailing through the perfect turquoise waters, dolphins, sea turtles, and the reef itself visible below the waves is an unforgettable experience. Two, Uluru Kata Tjuta National Park. World-famous spectacular Uluru is instantly recognizable due to its ruddy red hue. The immense rock is one of Australia's most prominent landmarks, and the main reason the national park is such a popular destination. The equally mesmerizing rock formations of Kata Tjuta are fantastic to wander around, and there are lots of activities to enjoy. Owned by the Anangu Aboriginal people, the site is of great spiritual significance to them. You can learn more about their way of life at the Cultural Center. Number 1. Sydney. Almost picture perfect. Sydney is a fantastic city with a lot going for it. A modern city with a long history, Sydney is defined by its scenic harbour. The region's first inhabitants lived along the harbour's bank for thousands of years. Today, ferries take visitors for cruises under the famed Sydney Harbour Bridge and past the iconic Sydney Opera House. Beautiful Bondi Beach is a must-see also when visiting Sydney as well. Surrounding the city, there are a number of brilliant national parks for visitors and locals alike to enjoy, as well as some interesting and educational historical sites.
Lou, you're muted, by the way.
Oh my gosh, I've been talking the whole time. Thank you, Alex.
Mhm.
Did everybody see anything that of particular interest? Any place anybody would like to go based on what they saw?
I want to go to the Barrier Reef. The
Which
Great
one?
Barrier Reef. I would
Oh
love to go.
yeah.
I would love to go snorkeling there.
Oh yeah.
I bet you see things you never seen before down there.
I read that it's half the size of Texas.
Wow.
Oh,
That's beautiful.
I'd like to
Yeah.
go to Sydney.
Sydney, yeah.
I heard about the Opera House. I used to love, I like to go listen to opera, so I'd like to go there and do that.
I'd like to go to the mountain Uluru, the spiritual area, they said, where the Aboriginal
Yeah,
place
remember they
is.
used to call that Ayers Rock? Do you remember that? They
Yeah,
changed the name.
yeah.
There's probably a indigenous movement back there similar to here, trying to pay more respect to the.
Well, I've read that it had, yeah, that it's over the years, yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of Aboriginal people, let me show you a quick video here.
Welcome.
Well, what do y'all think of that?
Now I know where everybody got their dance moves from.
Yeah,
that's the
right.
native dance. I like it.
it's really amazing.
They got some moves, don't they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that instrument, that horn this guy's playing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Isn't
that's
that
a cool
the
instrument.
didgeridoo?
What's
Isn't
that?
that is that called a
Didgeridoo?
didgeridoo?
I don't know.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's, yeah.
it is, Brenda.
It is.
Yeah.
Didgeridoo, yeah.
But can I
And the
ask a
boomerang.
question?
Yeah.
Does the dance, are they interpreting something? Like they going fishing and they was going hunting with the spears or something? So is that what it is? It's an interpretational dance?
I think so. So what are these hunting tools? In one hand, they got a spear. What do they got in this hand? What's that?
The they got a
Boomerang.
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 Another little boy has a boomerang. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's a boomerang there.
Yeah, they both have boomerangs.
Yeah.
But you have to know too interpret what they are
dancing
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And they were saying that when they went from that in the caves back in a long time ago, in the caves, the drawings kind of depicted something in the future, like when the astronauts went up, into space, they could look down and see some of the things that were drawn on the caves and all, but not just the caves, but on the mountains and stuff that kind of projected what flight and stuff or going to the moon was going to be back years and years, thousands of years ago.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Did you, this is Bridget speaking, did you know that 5 out of 10 or more Aborigine babies are born blonde? A lot of them are born blonde with blue eyes, and then as they get older, they transition to a darker complexion, and their hair and their eyes darken up.
Well, look at that. We see that right here. Look at that young man.
All of the
Look at
children
this old dude right
with
here.
blonde hair and blue eyes. And then there's
Look
an
at the man in
island.
back of me.
There's an island in the Solomon Islands that the whole tribes are blonde with blue eyes. They're pretty cute little kids.
Oh.
But as they grow up, their hair darkens and their skin darkens. But they're born blonde with blue eyes. A lot of them.
I wonder where they read that this is the oldest culture on Earth. The dances they're doing, everything you do, that culture is 40,000 years old.
Yeah, that's what that. That's why I would like to
amazing.
go to that mountain and some of the spiritual stuff that they know. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if I went to Australia, this is what I want to see. This is what excites me. I'd love to see that.
Have you seen the movie too? That would be a good movie to show maybe one night. Australia with Nicole Kidman. Did you ever see that movie? I don't know who the other person was but that's a good one.
No.
It's the one about the cowboy.
All right, folks. So how are we on time? We got 10 more minutes. Let me show a quick video, 5 minutes, then we'll jump into our trivia here. So Australia, interestingly, has a number of don'ts, things you shouldn't do when you go there. I sort of learned that somewhat the hard way. And wow, you know what? I may not have saved that video, so we're gonna have to skip that. Well, actually, I might be able to play it. Let me just stop sharing for a moment. I can pull it up because it actually is some valuable things on there. Just a moment, I'll pull it up. Yeah, maybe a little harder than I thought. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so this video covers some do's and don'ts in Australia. I'm playing this right off of YouTube, so it'll play a intro.
Australia is many things. It's a continent that makes up the 6th largest country in the world and is home to some of the most dangerous creatures on the planet. And Noah,
not just talking about Australians. With a little over 8.5 million people visiting each year, tourism is a huge part of Australia's economy. That being said, there are a number of things to look out for when you're there, so let's get right into it. Number 1. Don't stray from the path. With over 66 different venomous species, which is the 3rd largest concentration in the world, by the way, it's important to know where you are at all times. Now, this is especially true if you plan on trekking or camping in the outback, with things like the common brown snake, box jellyfish, and crocodiles. There's no shortage of dangerous animals here, so it's important that you stay on the path when you're exploring. And that goes for warning signs as well, because while it may seem funny to some people from different countries, here they're very real and should be taken seriously. Number 2, don't underestimate the cost. Australia is known for having one of the highest living costs in the world, and traveling there is no different. Now, of course, this is all subjective depending on where you go and where you're from, but it still might surprise you to hear that a beer costs around 9 Australian dollars. And a meal at a mid-range restaurant costs around 40. Now, all in all, if you're really trying to save money, you can get it down to around 100 Australian dollars per day. And I'll just throw that number out there as an average. But between transportation, food, and lodging, the prices can get a bit expensive. So it's important that you price out your trip accordingly. Number 3, and this is a short one. Don't say shrimp on the Barbie. Now, this phrase was popularized by a 1980s ad with Paul Hogan, who was later in Crocodile Dundee, and it was sponsored by the Australian Tourism Commission to try. Number 4, drinking in Australia. Now, for this one, I'm mainly talking about major cities, specifically Sydney, so don't quote me on the rest of the country. But in Sydney, you can't get a beer after 1:30 in the morning because they have something called a lockout law, which means no one is allowed in or out of bars past that point in time. And their last call is at 3 in the morning. And of course, don't drink and try and drive because they have one of the lowest blood alcohol content levels, 0.05, before you can be arrested. And last but not least, don't order Foster's beer. That's not an Australian thing, that's an American thing. Instead, try and order a bottle of Bundaberg. My Aussie friends will know why I'm laughing. Number 5. Don't underestimate its size. Australia is a country with about 25 million people, and because it's a continent, it's made up of almost 7.6 million square kilometers. And despite the fact that the majority of its population is clustered around the coasts, in urban areas, it still means that as a tourist, it's going to take a long time to get from place to place. So it's important to take a look at exactly how long it's going to take you to complete your itinerary. Number 7, don't rely on public transport. Now, because Australia is so big and so spread out, public transport is difficult to find outside major cities. You know, it's not like Europe where you can take a train to a small town, hop off, and then hop onto another train to another small town. Number 8, don't talk about immigration. Now, forgive me if I have to generalize a bit in order to get the point across, but for the most part, many Australians dislike the way that the government handles immigration, whether they're anti-immigration or whether they're disgusted by the way the government handles refugees. Of course, there's all the people in between, but the bottom line is that immigration is a big deal in Australia, and it's easier to avoid the topic. Number 9, don't take anything personally. Now, Australians always seem to be joking around, and insults are one of the ways that they do that. But don't make the mistake of thinking they mean anything by it. There's a funny saying where you know that an Australian doesn't like you if they don't insult you, because it means that they actually think there's something wrong with you and that it'll offend you. Number 10, don't be afraid to say hello. Australians have a pretty well-deserved reputation for being laid back. And like I was talking about before with the kidding around, they're good at taking things in stride, which makes it easy as a tourist to make friends. And
Okay, so I blasted through that pretty quick. Some of the do's and don'ts. Let's go to trivia. Just
Great,
a
thank you so
moment.
much, Lou. So while Lou gets his presentation up, I want everyone to practice raising their hand in Zoom. You have to raise your hand to be called on, and you must provide your answer within a few seconds of you guys raising your hand. So again, you can tap more at the top right, and then you tap raise hand. So I want everyone in Zoom to please raise their hand while Lou gets his presentation up. So thank you. We're at 5. We have about 30 folks on today. So let's see some more hands. Thank you. We're almost at 10. Who will be lucky number 10 that raised their hands? Again, if you would like to answer one of Lou's questions and, you know, potentially win a prize today, you can raise your hand in Zoom, and we'll go based on the order of hands. Okay. So we reached about 10 hands, so I really appreciate that. So you all can lower your hands by hitting lower at the bottom. Okay. Thank you all so much. And the floor is yours, Lou. Let's see who wins today's trivia.
Thanks, Alex. Okay, just a quick item here. Size of Australia almost exactly fits the continental United States, from DC to LA and from Miami all the way to the Hudson Bay. So that's a big area to cover if you want to pay a visit. To be honest with you, when I went to my 2 trips to Australia, it was nice, but it didn't have the concentration of amazing sights like you see in Europe or Africa or Asia, where you travel a couple miles and it's another stunning, amazing sight. So that's why you might want to back pocket a visit to Australia, especially if you don't have a lot of time and if your funds are tight, because that means a lot of long distance travel. Okay, here we go. Each year, Brisbane hosts the World Championships of what racing?
And please raise your hand if you would like to answer the question. Brenda?
Cockroach. Cockroach racing.
Oh, great job, Brenda.
Great job, Brenda. Yay.
Did that so fast. Thank you so much. We will have a similar format as last time, so you may potentially win a prize today. So thank you so much.
That's funny. Cockroaches? Wow.
Yes. Thank you so much, Brenda.
Sure.
Okay, next question. What live animal does Australia commonly export to the Middle East?
Again, the first hand up was able to answer. Miss Melanie, what is your answer?
Kangaroos. I
Good-
didn't look it
good-
up.
Good guess. I knew folks would guess that, but no, that's not it.
Okay. I thought it was that too, Lou.
Oh, no,
thank
I
you-
know what
thank
it
you,
is.
Miss
Koala
Melanie.
bears.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to try? Miss Foster?
Live sheets.
Oh, that's a good one, but no, that's not what I was thinking. I bet they do export some, but that's not the one I'm thinking.
Wow. Thank you, Miss Foster. Gracie?
Koala bear?
Good guess, but not what I'm thinking.
No? Okay.
No. Think Middle East. Why did I put Middle East down there?
Lou, would you like Miss Melanie to try again?
Sure.
Okay. What is your answer, Miss Melanie?
What do they commonly export to the Middle East? I don't know. I lost my train of thought. Somebody took my answer. It wasn't the right answer. So let me
Sorry
lower
about
my
that.
hand.
Yeah. Any other, and I know you may have it, Brenda, but we'll see if we can try to have someone else. Again, raise your hand if you would like to answer the question. Okay, Ms. Jennifer, what do you think the answer is?
Crocodile. Well, no, I think we may have stumped them again, Alex.
Okay, what's the answer, Lou?
They are the world's largest exporter of this live animal. You ready?
Camels. What? That makes sense
Yeah.
though.
The whole central part of Australia is a giant desert.
Mm-hmm.
And so they got some serious camels going on over there. All right, last question. So I think we're gonna only have two winners if you get this.
We're only doing one prize like last time, Lou.
One prize. Right.
Go and read the question, Lou.
Sure. What is the oldest culture on Earth? It's like Melanie.
Okay, we'll see.
you
We'll hear from
say that.
Bridget. Since we haven't heard from Bridget yet. Bridget, what do you think the answer is?
Aborigine tribe.
Yay, that's it.
Thank you, Bridget,
Thank you.
so much. And that was the last question, Lou, right?
Yeah, if I didn't know the answer, just looking at this, I would say the Aborigines, right? This dates back some long distance here.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Brenda. and Bridget and Jonelle for answering those questions correctly. We will be doing a wheel just as before. And the prize for today's session is a stylus pen. So either Brenda or Janelle and Bridget will be
Ooh,
receiving
good
that
one.
prize today. So I'm going to go ahead and share our wheel. And good luck to both of our trivia winners and our answers. And let's see who wins. 3, 2, 1. Well,
All
congratulations,
right.
Bridget and Janelle. Thank you so much for coming on to today's session and for winning a stylus pen. So thank you so much for coming on and good job.
Thank you so much.
No
Thanks,
problem.
everybody.
Yes, and let's all thank Lou for such a wonderful session on Australia today, and of course to Upendo as well for coming on and sharing more of that information, especially with that movie from yesterday. It's very relevant to today. So thank you all so much. Let's all thank Lou, and I'll see you all at 1:30 today for our last session. So thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Lou.
Have a
Bye,
good
everybody.
Thank you, Lou.
Thank both of y'all.
Thank you.
Again.
Oh, that's the
Thank
nice
you,
one.
everyone.
Maybe
Thank
I'll
you so
answer.
much.
Thank you, guys.
So fun. Have a good day. See you
Bye.
all soon.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.